Hi guys, on this show we're looking at Wolf, Sharp, Snape, Barber, Speer, Wilkinson, Addy and Carlyle. We're going all the way in 1997's The Full Monty.
Hello everyone and welcome to this week's episode of 100 Things We Learned from Film. I'm one of your hosts, my name's Planty, and I've just crawled out the canal.
And I'm John, I'm the other guy, and I'm getting my Benny on, but all will be revealed.
Benny and the Jets!
Getting your Benny on. What an expression. I'm going to use that for now on. Getting my Benny on.
How are you, Biglin?
I'm alright, mate. Just living the dream. It's a bit blowy. It's called in Scotland Blonahuli outside.
That's
Blonahuli outside. So it's pretty drastic out there. So
it's pretty shocking here as well, mate. We had a tiniest amount of snow this morning, whereas most of Scotland seems to have had loads.
Yeah, we were living the wet dream, the white dream.
The wet dream. Living the wet dream is very different, John.
It's either wet or wild or wet or wild.
For those that didn't know because you've never listened before, we are the podcast that tries to find 100 things from the film we are talking about. This week, John, we're into the final day, really, of February, and we are talking about our last Oscar-winning film. We trawled through loads of all the Oscar-winning films that were on Disney Plus, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Saturday night.
Yeah, there was a lot of standout ones, but this one, it stays with you, doesn't it? It really does.
Yeah, what are we talking about?
So we're looking at 1997's The Full Monty.
Excellent. What else could we have been talking about?
Well, if you are good listeners, you'll remember from Cornair and Grosse Pointe Blank from 1997 what was out then. So if you want to find out, go back and listen to Cornair and Grosse Pointe Blank.
Go and listen to them episodes.
Gunning.
Go and listen to the episodes, man. You can tell I've been over the Northeast this week. On the subject of the Oscars that this won, it won the Best Music for Original Musical or Comedy Score and was nominated for Best Picture, Best Director, Best Writing Screenplay. So it was a winner of just one, but it was something a bit different.
It really was.
I can't think of another podcast that's covered this. It won loads of stuff, by the way. It won BAFTAs right up the arsehole.
Yeah. It won everybody's hearts as well. It's such a heartwarming film.
Now, I'm just going to put it out there because I was a pretentious 17-year-old arsehole, right? When this came out, I said that this undid all the good work that my favourite film of British cinema had done, and that was Trainspotting.
Oh,
right?
Okay.
Because I looked at Trainspotting as this fantastic, upon a pedestal, plinth of greatness, and this was just a film for fucking morons, right?
Yeah.
Now I'm 41.
It's totally flipped, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm 42.
It's totally flipped.
I'm well into it. It's still not a patch on Trainspotting, of course.
But Robert Carlyle, I mean that accent and the way he looked, he was totally the opposite of Begbie. It was just a brilliant. The guy could never be pigeonholed for.
It's passable. It's a passable accent, John. I'll say, having lived in Derbyshire and Yorkshire, I would say it's there or thereabouts. Anyway. There's not sunning up to listen to me talk shit about Yorkshire. Although maybe you are. Who knows? Shall we begin?
Let's do this.
Grand. Now, the film opens with this fantastic kind of old video type thing, isn't it? It's this narrator.
It's like Pearl and Dean in it.
It's a little bit round the corner from this cinema. After the film, why not enjoy a Balti?
That's exactly what it's like, wasn't it? Yeah. On a new carpet.
Yeah, exactly. This film narrator, I'm going to read it out because it's such a kind of fantastically well-written thing. Welcome to Sheffield, the beating heart of Britain's industrial north, the jewel in Yorkshire's crown. It's home to over 500,000 people, and 1,000 more flock here daily to shop and to work. All this is built on Sheffield's primary industry, steel. The city's rolling mills, forges, and workshops employ some men and state-of-the-art machinery to make the world's finest steel, from high tensile girders to the stainless cutlery that ends up on your dining table. Dining table. How posh do they think I am?
I know.
On my lap while I watch Succession.
And my greasy spoon.
But it's not all hard work for the people of Steel City. They can spend the day lounging by the pool. Lounging by the pool? It's not the most temperate.
I know. Lounging by the pool.
Watching
Inside.
one of our top soccer teams. Fuck off soccer. Or browsing in the shops. But when the sun goes down, the fun really starts in the city's numerous nightclubs and discotheques. Yes, Yorkshire folk know how to have a good time. And I can admit that that's true, right? Because I once went out drinking in Halifax, and there was these groups of teenagers throwing glass bottles across the road at one another. Yes, Yorkshire folk really know how to... trying to smash them at the feet of one another and glass one another. Fucking Halifax, man. That's where Paddy Kenny, the old Sheffield United goalkeeper, got his ear bitten off. Or his nose bitten off. Yeah, got his nose bitten off. Christ. Anyway, and it's good times for the city's housing too. Sheffield leads the way in town planning, which we'll learn a bit more about. Victorian slums have been cleared and moved to Carlisle to make way for the homes of the future. Thanks to steel, Sheffield really is a city on the move. Which made me think of that Springfield, a city on the grow.
On the grow. That's what I was thinking in my head as well.
The gold road with the castle down it.
City on the grow.
Now, our listeners will know that I pick out as much as I can. We both do. We pick out as much as we can. And I've got loads from this. Have you got anything from this particular thing before I get started?
It was a real promotional film from 1978. That's what I've got.
Yeah, all right. Okay. I didn't spot that. How did I miss that?
How did you miss that? Only a couple of things before you start, because I know you've got loads on. So, I was looking up the meaning of the film Monty. But the film Monty is Cockney rhyming slang, which means the full story. Did you know that?
I did not know that, no.
I did not know that, but it comes from a tale from 1880 about some guy, but I didn't go into it. And the reputation of Sheffield's metallurgy and steelmaking, basically it was... In the 18th, 19th and 20th century, it was all about the steel. I think, but basically because it had the waterways and they had lots of coal and stuff like that, made it one of the ideal places for the steel industry. But I'll let you crack on because I know you've got loads on that.
Good stuff. Yeah, you're absolutely right about the steel. So, look, for those that aren't from the UK and don't really know how the geography works, Sheffield's really hilly. Have you been to Sheffield, John?
Yeah.
Oh, it's brilliant. Love it. Absolutely love it. Great city. Fantastic city. But it's very hilly, isn't it? So you've got mines, you've got coal mines, you've got iron mines, or certainly you would have had. There's great kind of the rivers and the water. It just makes sense that that's where they would do that. It fueled massive growth in the city's population that expanded from 60,995 in the census of 1801 to a peak of 577,000 in 1952. 1951. The steel industry concentrates on now more specialist steel making, and in 2005 produced more steel per year by value than any other time in its history.
Wow.
The steel economy, in Sheffield is worth £7 billion a year.
Still?
Pretty impressive. Well, yeah, absolutely. Yes. Sheffield was founded in the 8th century, became a city in 1893. The city is home to 13 Morris dancing teams. You notice the Morris dancing in the video. Thought to be one of the highest concentration of Morris dancing sides in the country. Other brilliant films, this is my words, brilliant films in Sheffield. Four Lions, less than brilliant When Saturday Comes. Have you seen When Saturday Comes? John Bean as the Sheffield United player. Oh, you great bastard, John. I'm going to fucking have you. It's starting to sound a little bit more like my Mel B impression there. Crab paste. And it's probably not the right time to mention this, considering what's happening in the world today. But the film about nuclear bomb being dropped on Sheffield, Threads.
Oh man!
Yeah, it's not the time. It's really not the time to talk about it. I watched it to go on Cult Connection. In fact, the first time I went on Cult Connections with Ian, now I'm a fucking regular on, on this show, we talked about Threads, which if you haven't seen it, and I know Tom, who I do Simpsons with, he's a big fan of that film. If you can be a big fan of one of the grimmest films that ever exists.
It's so grim.
It's brilliant. It's absolutely fantastic. I love it and hate it at the same time. Your man mentions his soccer teams, right? Football. It is association football. Home to Sheffield Wednesday and Sheffield United are the two football league teams he's talking about. But I'm going to call out my favourite Sheffield team is the oldest football team in the country, Sheffield FC. Founded in 1857, which makes them 164 years old, right? Mm-hmm. Putting the teams in order, figured this out. It's them, oldest to newest, Hallam FC, 1860, Sheffield Wednesday, 1867, and then Johnny Come Lately's Sheffield United, who's everybody's least favourite Sheffield-based football team. And I'm not just saying that as a Forest fan. Come at me, United fans, all three of you. It mentions the nightclubs, and you see this picture of the Fiesta nightclub. Yeah. Opened in 1970 and shut in 1980. So it was only open for the 2 years after this film came out. Previous acts there include Stevie Wonder, Roy Orbison, Stiller, and the Jackson 5.
Jesus, that's all right.
Yeah, that's not bad, is it? I mean, there was loads of others, but those were specific big ones that I liked. And it's now the Odeon Cinema in Sheffield.
Of course it is.
Of course, me being me, I've got an insight into what's happening with the housing in Sheffield. So I spoke to Tom, who, as I've said before, is on Everything That We Learned from The Simpsons with me, and he was telling me all about their city planning. So all of this comes from him. Did you see that big hole? That big hole in the road.
Yes, it was. Right. It was like an underground shopping centre.
That's right, and it was called the Hole in the Road. Infamous underground walkway that was also a traffic roundabout. Access to shops. They filled it in 1994. Bastards. Wow. Park Hill Flats. It shows these big flats. These Park Hill Flats were built. These Park Hill Flats were built between 1957 and 1961. There's 995 of them. And famously in the 60s, they had their own milk float for deliveries of dairy produce.
Milk floats? Jesus.
Yeah. Can you do this? I don't know. Could you explain to our non-British listeners and people under 30 what a milk float was?
So it was basically, a lot of people, a lot of people think they were electric. I don't think they were, because that was too advanced in the day. But basically, it was a flatbed, small, miniature kind of truck-looking thing that the milkman would zoom about in, but it was very, very small. I think, what was his name? Norman Wisdom did a film about
He did do one about, and Ernie, the fastest milk float in the West.
In the West,
Benny Hill. Yeah. Also, Father Ted.
And Speed 3. Oh my God.
That's brilliant. I love that.
But yeah, milk floats are a thing of the past. They were brilliant.
Shall we get started on the actual film?
Oh my God, we've got 100 facts. Let's go.
I'm just going to spoil it a little bit. Just from that, we're on 17. So that's a good start, isn't it?
That's a great start.
I've got nothing else, John. I concentrated all on the start. By the way, thanks to Tom. Go and listen to Everything We Learned from The Simpsons. Brilliant. There'll be more town planning stuff coming up on a future episode, no doubt. Right, 25 years later, right? And Sheffield is not a city on the grow at all.
Yeah, it's just
Sheffield has been forgotten.
A shitty on the pile.
Sadly, yeah. There's these characters. There's Gaz, which is Robert Carlyle. There's Dave, who we mentioned a couple of episodes ago, Addy, when we were talking about this came.
Knight's Tale.
Yeah, and the Flintstones. Flintstones,
yeah.
And this came apropos not of that, but just here it is. And the band, this son Nathan, this kid, they're stealing this massive girder from this closed factory.
To make iron brew?
Not to make iron brew, no, to sell. Steel is a hard grey material, which is an alloy mixture of iron and carbon. And H&S Metals in Portsmouth and Southampton will buy steel at £100 a tonne, according to my little internet search there.
Nice. Nice.
Doesn't sound like a lot, though, does it?
Well, when he says, well, later on he says he drops it. He says that was worth £20.
Yeah, I
I wonder
guess. Yeah,
what it weighed.
that's
I
your.
wonder what it
Yeah,
weighed.
that's inflation for you, isn't it?
And it says that was your maintenance as well.
That
So
was your maintenance.
well, I
Yeah.
tried to double check child maintenance for 1997, but it didn't give me anything. The only thing it gave me was on the rate of pay. You for paying one child, you pay 12% of your gross weekly income. For two children, it's 16, and it's for three children, it's 19%
All
of
right.
your your weekly income.
Okay.
So that's
My
how
old
that
man
works.
used to pay my mum a tenner a week
I think
in 2006.
between I think between these you can sort out yourself. But if you go through the CSA, then they've got a calculator for that sort of thing. So
Okay,
it's
the CSA. There you go.
CSA. Yeah.
They're carrying this out, and they're disturbed by this brass band working
Yeah.
through, which I was kind of into that. They are the British Steel Stockbridge Band.
Yep.
Stockbridge Engineering Steel Brass Band has since been renamed Unite the Union Band. Local to the city is Deep Car Brass Band is there as well. And I think I've probably got a little bit more on brass bands elsewhere, which I'll completely forget about until we get to the end of the film and I'll have to rush it through.
Well, I'll give you mine just now because I've found that in the 19th and 20th century, nearly every colliery, I know it's not obviously a steel factory, but every colliery had a brass band. They kept the workers out of trouble and were a matter of civic pride in the local community. So everybody had them at one point, but it's just because in the film it says it's the factory band. I thought, every factory must have one, but I don't think every factory did, but most collieries did.
It's funny you should mention that because that makes me think of Brastoff, which is another film that makes me cry. Add it to the fucking list. From Transformers, the animated movie, to Brastoff, the Mark Black crying at films.
Brastoff is really good, though.
Brastoff is brilliant, yeah. Right, factory brass bands, 10 in Sheffield, Woodus, Stannington, Loxley, Robinov. Deep Car, Sheffield 13, which sounds like Irish men that bomb somewhere, Unite the Union, Outybridge, Chapeltown, Dronfield, Eskerfeld. There you go. Those are the ones that are still there. Let's think about cutting that bit about the Irishmen bombing places, but I probably won't because I don't really give a fuck. we're not here to get advertising. We're just here to make people laugh. This guard locks them in. You kind of spot this guard and he locks them in, which will come back later. So they're escaping on the girder across this car in the canal.
Yeah, it's very precarious, isn't it?
It is, isn't it? But that reminded me a little bit of that bit out of that game in the Crystal Maze. You know, you had to get the bit of wood without falling into the water.
So was I.
And that was all kind of like misty and slimy and horrible water. Very much like every canal up and down this country.
I didn't realise how unstable the car was until after the boy got off, because as soon as he got off, it started rocking about, this car, so I don't know how they managed to do it.
Because that's how MacGuffins in films work, John.
Right, okay.
That's why.
Now I'm getting it.
Yeah,
he says to Dave at one point, "Don't get Benny on." Did you hear him say that?
I did. Yeah. What was that?
Don't get Benny on. So he says, "Don't get Benny on." So I looked this up. So the saying is based on a character from a British soap opera called Crossroads.
Crossroads. Benny from Crossroads.
Benny? Yeah.
I do.
So Benny was Benny was a worker in a motel garage, and he was a general labourer. But Benny had learning difficulties.
Right. Okay.
So derogatory wise, it was not the best thing to say, but basically the term is based on a character from Crossroads.
All right, okay. I mean, that makes perfect sense because we all remember Benny from Crossroads, don't we? Our listeners born in 1990.
Yeah, he went out for a loaf and never came back. Literally went out for a loaf and never came back.
That's like whoever Deirdre and Ken's daughter was in Coronation Street. She ran upstairs to listen to her tapes one day at the age of 11 and then came back down and she was a 21-year-old murderer.
That's what she was.
Next we saw her about. What's that about? What's all that about? Yeah. So this canal that they're on, by the way, was the Sheffield and Tinsley Canal. 3.9 miles long and 11 locks. Opened 22nd of February. Which year? Every year. No, 1819. A general holiday was called for the opening ceremony. I mean, that's exciting times. Don't get me wrong. I'm the only person that I know that would take a day off for the opening of a canal because I'm like that You know that Francis Borgia kid that does all the videos of him watching trains go by?
Yes.
The posh little kid. That's me, but for canals. If I had money and time, I would just spend all my time waiting at canals with a GoPro on, waving at old people.
Your Panama hat on.
Good day to you, sir. Anyway, your kid, Nathaniel, Nate, whatever we're calling him, drops the thing in. As he's kind of crossed over, doesn't he? they're stuck, and as you say, it gets a bit precarious. This bloke's walking his black lab by, and he says, "How do?" he says, "Not bad, you." He says,
having a conversation.
All reet or something like that. And he says, "What about this looks all reet?" Oh, not so bad. That was good. Black Lab, John, if you wanted to buy a black Labrador puppy in Carlisle, there's some for sale at the moment for $2,500 each.
Nice.
Nah, you're all right. I'll take the fact that it cost 80 quid for us to get this little bastard who's trying to attack my pen from the cat's home, aren't you?
Money in the bank. Money in
the bank. Exactly. Anyway, the next scene, they're walking down the steps, absolutely piss wet through. I'm not joking. You don't just get wet in a canal. You get fucking done. Those clothes would be finished because of the stylage and canals are disgusting, but they're amazing. They go past this working men's club with these women queuing for this Chippendale style gig. Mark Addy's wife's going to the show, so they're sneaking through the toilet window. There's these blokes stripping to "Do You Want to Be in My Gang" by Gary Glitter.
Oh my God!
Whoa, that's of an age.
I'm going to tell you something. I looked up Gary Glitter, right, and excluded all the stuff we know, right. But this is the one that the fact that stood out to me. It says Gary Glitter was banned from driving for 10 years in 1986 following a conviction for drink driving. This was his third drink driving conviction, and he narrowly avoided getting sent to prison. Fucking hell.
Jesus.
Like, Jesus, if only they knew. Gary Glitter. Jesus Christ.
Oh, what an awful bastard he is.
Guy.
Don't Google Gary Glitter, people, if you don't know honestly, who it is.
I'd heard it, and I put Gary, and I thought, you know what, I don't want to go through all this. But then when I seen that, I thought, you know what, that's something I didn't know, so I thought I'd bring that up.
Who was the compere? Jimmy Savile?
Oh, God.
Was the club opened by Prince Andrew? Jesus. Anyway, moving swiftly on.
Yep.
These paedophile jokes doing anything for you? So these three women come into the men's, including Dave's wife. He's kind of hiding through the window because he can't get through the window and this is the whole thing about this. He's fat, right? I'm fat. He's fat. But he's not fat, right? I'm not joking. If I tried to get through that window, I'd have lacerated every bit of myself because I'd have smashed that window something rotten. Yeah. Mark Addy has got this cracking dad bod in this.
At the time, he was fine, so it was a bit. He made a big thing of it, didn't he? So it was quite annoying.
Yeah, and all the way through, it's like, oh, I'm fat, and everyone else is kind of. They all look good, you know.
Yeah, picking on him.
Dave's wife says she's lost all interest in working and her. So the whole thing here is, for those who don't really know, everybody's been laid off. The city, because the steel is kind of has all been. What happened in the steel in Sheffield was it all went overseas. It's cheaper to do it anywhere else than in Britain.
Yeah.
So it all went overseas. So all these men who were told when they were at school, you will have a job for life, same as the collieries, you'll have a job for life. It didn't happen. They didn't have a job for life. Everything was taken away from them. And of course, that would, in many ways, stunt your libido as well. Yeah. I believe. I wouldn't know. I never had any libido to start with. But she's basically saying, that she's lost. He's lost interest. One of the characters says, "Don't worry too much about it. I'll give you something to cheer you up." She lifts her skirt up and she goes for a piss in the urinal. Which now, if you're of a certain age and you've never been to a working men's club, right? Urinals were always like this. It was just a trough in the floor, wasn't it?
Yep, and just Pipe along the top just to run some water.
Yeah,
We get in
yeah, love a trough along the floor because you'd end up slipping on the tiles because people would have been absolutely rat-arsed.
Right,
Old boys rat-arsed on 16 pints a mild, and you'd end up slipping and getting you fucking. Oh, yeah, it's happened to all of us, I'm sure.
Kicking cakes, big man.
Yeah, kicking cakes. Yeah. So she stands up and pisses in the urinal. Right. It's going to get a little bit interesting, this. Have you ever heard of a shiwi, John?
Is that is that mechanism in it? Is it a device to use?
It's basically a bit of plastic. Yeah. So, ladies, listen, we're going to now tell you about the importance of peeing standing up. If you're at a festival or the roadside where you possibly couldn't kneel down, you can purchase the shiwi. You can buy it online for $4.99. It's a plastic tube with an open top. Women peeing. Instructions as follows from shiwi.com/how to use. Always practice in the shower with your shiwi to find the right position for you. Please don't sweat about the size. The shiwi is all about the technique. John, you're covering your face here. This is bad. After all, practice makes perfect, ladies. The shiwi Extreme is made from hard, solid plastic, which allows you to urinate while standing without removing any of your clothing. Please take your pants off. Don't piss through your pants. That would be terrible. Step 1, take a deep breath and relax. Make sure the wind is at your back, ladies, as we well know. Remove your shiwi from its carry case and attach your extension pipe if you're wearing bulky clothing. The fuck was I thinking last night? I'd not even had a drink. 2, undo trousers. Push your underwear to one side. Gently place the shiwi against your body. Enter the outlet pipe. Ensure the outlet pipe is pointing downward and directed away from you. 3, aim urine away from your feet into a toilet, portable loo, or our pee bowl, the pocket-sized loo.
Oh, God, they offer a pee bowl?
When you're done, pull your shiwi firmly upwards to remove any remaining drips. I'm guilty of dripping.
Aren't we all?
Give your shiwi a good shake and pop it back in your carry case. Pop it back in the carry case.
Jesus.
When it's next convenient, clean your shiwi with mild soap and water. And this is the last bit. Tip. Remember gravity when positioning your shiwi. The pointy end of the funnel should be held more firmly against you. The front of the funnel, which can be held a few millimetres away from the body so that you can see the urine going in.
Nice.
There's illustrations on this website, and tomorrow I'm at a disciplinary for looking at it in the office. Oh God, that is one of the most awkward things I've ever had to talk to you about.
I know, I felt embarrassed this end. Thank you for that.
What, at the wrong end of the shiwi? There you go. That's £5 well spent, ladies. Ladies, there are no ladies listening to this anyway. There's like 3. There's like 3 women listening to this. The next day, Gaz walks Nathan to school. Nathan wants to go to the football and he can't pay for him to go to the football. He says, oh yeah, the non-league team are playing. I was like, I wonder if that's Sheffield FC. Yeah. But he says, no, he wants to go and see Sheffield United. Because they're playing Man United. And he says, oh yeah, we can maybe sneak in. There's a hole in the fence. Like, there wouldn't be a hole in the fence. There wouldn't be a hole in the fence. Also, at this time, Sheffield United and Man United weren't in the same league, so it'd have to be the League Cup. Anyway, enough. I'm not going to get into that. Down at the job centre, or the job club, as it's called, I was desperate for Pauline's pens to turn up. Okie dokie, picking a pokey.
Have you ever been to a job club?
I have been to the job centre. I signed on a couple of times, and it made me so miserable.
So that was they make you go to the job club to have one-on-one tutorials on creating CVs and stuff like that. It's don't get me wrong, everybody's in the same boat, but yeah, it's just a horrible environment. I hated it.
I came back from Australia without a job, and I signed on once. Gerald the foreman, the always brilliant Tom Wilkinson, always fantastic.
Really good in this.
Tom Wilkinson, he is to my mind, he's the true pathos in this because of how his story is mostly at the beginning and partway through the saddest bit. He won a BAFTA for this, and a Screen Actors Guild Award. Nominated for an Oscar for In the Bedroom in 2001, and Michael Clayton in 2007, which I have never seen.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. So maybe Michael Clayton 2007 is an option for when I finally get invited on Revisiting the Oscars podcast. Hint, hint, boys. When are you going to have me on? By the by, love him. And actually,
great.
do you know what I always forget? I always forget he's in Batman Begins.
Yeah, so he is.
Yeah,
he's
like
the baddie, isn't he?
Like the proper villain in Batman Begins.
Because this was his breakthrough role, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. The Job Centre ran from, it was called the Job Centre, 1970s to 2002, when it was rebranded as Job Centre Plus. He is Gerald, the old foreman. He's trying to get a job. He's on this computer, this old computer.
Yeah.
They formulate they're going to do their own show because they've seen this. Gerald isn't having any of it. You're fat, he's skinny, no one wants to see you two naked. Gaz goes to see his ex at the new fella's place. They're in this lovely new build. Reminded me of those new builds up by the station at Larbert.
Man, yeah, but they're cracking houses. But
they were big houses.
Triple glazing?
Yeah, with your triple glazing.
So triple glazing. So I tried to look it up. So triple glazing options were really popularised in North Europe in the 1970s. So that's sort of when they were sort of came about. But yeah, I couldn't believe the old triple glazing because I'd never heard it before.
No, I hadn't. Is it an option on your new build, John? Are you getting triple glazing?
Nah, you need to actually pay extra for it. You need to pay extra for it. I know. Bastards.
You bastards. How dare you make me pay extra? Do you know I've got a very unpopular podcast?
The pain I could cause, the pain.
They're going for sole custody. The only way they'll share if he gets a job and pays his way. He owes like 700 quid in maintenance, doesn't he?
Yep. Yeah.
So the next day, Gaz and Dave are running. Gaz has got this shirt on, this white and red striped shirt. Do you know which football shirt that was, John? It's one of the teams we've mentioned.
Is it Berwick upon Tweed United?
It is. It's Berwick. Yeah, that's exactly who it is. It's Annan Athletic. No, it's Sheffield United. And the sponsor on it was Lavers. Lavers are a builders and timber merchant, which I discovered online. That's not true. I actually knew that because I was one of these people one of these kids that in the mid-90s was obsessed with who football sponsors were.
Oh my God, aye.
So if they sponsored a football team, I knew exactly who they were. Now they're just all betting companies and porn websites.
Oh no, it really is, yeah, Pornhub. But back in the day, it used to be J&W Carpets, and so it really is like...
They stop to help this lad whose car won't start.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And yeah, okay. It's funny and it isn't funny, this, right?
Yeah.
So they stop to kind of help him out.
And 1980s Austin Princess too, it is as well.
Yeah, right. Okay, well spotted. Yeah. This ginger lad, only boy, is he ginger, isn't he?
Oh, he's proper ginger.
I feel we've had a bit of a dig at gingers. Well, people may think we've had a dig at gingers. I love a ginger. I don't know about you. I absolutely love a ginger. I think
they're just fiery.
That's good. I'm all for fiery and annoying ones. I've got a ginger cat, so I'm used to that. He says it's your HT leads. I was like, that's not real, but it is. They're wires that connect a distributor or ignition coil to each of the spark plugs of a petrol engine. Start your motor, basically. So with my cousin Vinny last week, and now this, it's like fucking Top Gear.
Yeah, we're getting into the car side of things, aren't we?
Except the difference between us and Top Gear is there's no thinly veiled misogyny, and I'm not beating up any producers because I'm hungry.
Yeah.
So he gets this boy's car started and then notices that there's a pipe from the exhaust. They're walking away, just getting on with it. Then he realises and drags him out. And he's like, you bastard, I was trying to kill myself. I was like, oh, you ungrateful sod. Poise him back in.
Oh, that is so funny. So funny. So I tried to Google that facts about how that works and how long it would take. But if you try and Google facts about exhaust fumes directly in your car, it directs you straight to Samaritans. So,
And rightly so.
I think it was a good touch, to be honest.
Absolutely. If you are thinking of doing that, don't, for a number of reasons. Not just because fuel's really expensive at the moment and it will cost you a lot of money, but the Samaritans in the UK, give them a call, 116-123 from your phone, 116-123. They have a Welsh language line as well. If you're one of our 2 Welsh listeners, Borodar, please do not do that. Ring the Samaritans. They are very helpful. They are very good people. We are certain you have a number of things worth living for. Now back on to all the stupid nonsense that we always talk. All right. They're talking about opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
And they're basically saying, and on the back of what we just talked about, I really liked this, right? Because they're saying there is a better way to, if you really want to do it, you can do it. Here's your options of how to do it. And I was kind of like, okay. Right. And they're being nice. They're just being nice. He says, you could drown yourself. An average person would last between 1 and 3 minutes before falling unconscious and around 10 minutes before dying, apparently, from drowning. And then he says, just jump out in the road and get someone to drive the car at you. Get a friend to drive the car at you. And he says, I haven't got any friends. I haven't got any mates. He said, we just saved your life. What the fuck do you think we are? I was kind of like, that's really sweet. And he smiled. Oh, it was so. It was heartwarming. That, yeah.
Did anybody mention a bungee jumping?
They did, yeah. Bungee jumping without the bungee bit.
So I looked that up, and this is a bit this blew my mind because I originally thought that bungee jumping came from the Americas,
New Zealand,
or something like that. But turns out, so this is going back a bit. BBC Inside Out revealed newly discovered footage of the world's first bungee jump from the Clifton Suspension Bridge in Bristol 35 years ago. The jump took place on the 1st of April 1979 and was undertaken by members of the Oxford University Dangerous Sports Club. So it originated in Bristol.
Wow! From the Dave Clifton suspension quiz. Yeah, fantastic! Oh, great.
And the other one was, it says jump off a tall bridge, didn't they?
Yes, yeah.
So looking up tall bridges, or the tallest bridge in Sheffield, I don't class it as a bridge, but the tallest structure is the Tinsley Viaduct. Mm-hmm. It's a 2-tier road bridge in Sheffield. It was the first of its kind in the UK, and I'm just going to try and find the height. So the height of it is 20 metres.
Oh, right, okay.
So 6 feet. I didn't think it was that tall, but apparently that was the tallest bridge in Sheffield.
Yeah, in the words of the charlatans, how high? He mentioned when they're on about drowning, he says, I can't swim. He says, you don't have to.
I know,
that was kind of funny, yeah. I chuckled at that. He goes back to his mum, who he looks after, and his mum's obviously infirm, disabled, and she's trying to climb the stairs out of a wheelchair. Yeah. And I was like, and you kind of like, if that's all you've got in your life, that's why. Turns out he's also the security guard that locked them in earlier on.
I lifted her up the stairs, didn't he?
Yeah, it's really good. Sweet. I didn't know where you'd gone. I'd just gone for a drive, and you're kind of like, that must be really tough. That must be really, really tough. Because I'm a bastard, and when that happens to my mum, she's going in a home. But like a crooked home off the telly that would have been on one of those Cook reports.
Yeah.
Do you remember the Cook report? It's a reference for nobody, isn't it? Anyway, they're back at the place where he does his work, and they're checking out the records he's got. One of them is the floral dance. I was like, whoa, that's a blast from the past, the floral dance. Massive hit in 1977 for the Brighouse and Rastrick Brass Band, which is the West Yorkshire represent. Sold 500,000 copies and reached number 2 that year. So that was 1977.
Do you want to hear what else happened in 1977?
I do, but before you do, John, what Scottish song was number 1 Christmas 1977? instead of the Rastic Band.
Was Ross Stewart?
You're not a million miles off because he's about as Scottish as Rod Stewart. It was Mull of Kintyre by Wings.
Oh, God. Right, okay.
Which is a Nottingham Forest song. I don't care who knows it. Yes, please do tell us what else happened in 1977.
1977, the pot noodle was invented, and its first flavour was chicken and mushroom, because there was a pot noodle sitting in the background when they were looking at the record.
The blandest pot noodle, arguably.
Still a fan favourite, though. Apparently, it's one of the favourites.
It's Rachel's favourite, yeah. What's your favourite pot noodle?
Curry.
Bombay Bad Boy for me.
Is it? Because it had to be.
Yeah, all the sauce, all the hot sauce, and then some extra Scotch bonnet in it. Yeah, if I'm not shiting through the eye of a needle, I've not been eating a pot noodle.
Yeah,
although I don't tend to eat them because they're not very good for me. It's maybe the hot sauce that's not very good for me. Oh fucking no! Yeah. One of the other records is "You Sexy Thing" by Hot Chocolate, which they put on, and he's dancing to this. By the way, he's got a fag on, and he's dancing. He's dancing like me. Can't get his jacket off. Try to swing it round his arm, and then he tries to take. Oh, his change is coming out the pockets and showering them, and then he tries to take his t-shirt off while he's got his fag in his mouth. Nearly sets fire to himself.
Burns a hole in his Fruit of the Loom.
Apparently, right, in the 70s, one of the biggest issues, one of the biggest injuries that you would get at Christmas was obviously putting up your Christmas lights. Of course it was. But one of the other biggest injuries in the UK was men putting on sweaters whilst they'd still got a fag in their mouth.
Oh, goodness sake, man.
You Sexy Thing by Hot Chocolate, released 1975, 1987 and 1997 on the back of this. Mm-hmm. Made number 6 in the UK after this. And lead singer Errol Brown died in 2015 at the age of 71. Now, that Errol Brown seemed to be fucking everywhere from 97 onwards, didn't he?
No. Everywhere.
Anyway, Nathan runs off, probably out of embarrassment. They're eating food off the bonnet of the car. So, like, the food was cold, and then they put it on the...
Heated it up.
But why was it cold? It was takeaway food. Anyway, couldn't quite get that.
I know.
And he says, "Oh, what have I got?" And he says, "Oh, you've got chow mein." "Oh, I ate Chinese." I wasn't getting into the whole history of chow mein because that's not what we're here for. But chow mein in Peru is known as Talarin saltado. Talarin saltado.
Easy for you to say.
Well, apparently not. That's because I've had 2 beers because I'm not working tomorrow. Yeah, boy. Anyway, Nathan runs off because he doesn't like Chinese food. They drive to get him. Turns out he's embarrassed. Gaz explains the reason he's doing it is to make money to keep them together. So, this next scene, they're looking at this ballroom dancing class, right? Gerald and his wife. So they suggest Gerald as a teacher for them to dance. Gerald explains to his wife that they're friends from work, and they're like, "From work?" And we're kind of like, okay, what's going on here? Piecing stuff together. Mm-hmm. The next morning, they're waiting outside his house. Gerald's wife doesn't know he hasn't got a job because he hasn't told her.
Yeah, they're standing over the gnomes, isn't they? Looking at he's got gnomes.
Looking at his garden. He's got everything. He's got all this water feature. She wants to book this skiing holiday. And he's kind of like, "Oh, no, don't." Anyway,
you could feel I felt for him. I really felt for him when I seen that scene.
And this house, by the way, was full of the stuff, wasn't it? Like,
it was Royal Dalton and all that.
Yeah, you kind of like, wow.
Oh, it's horrible.
He won't teach them because he says they've no timing or skill. He's going for an interview, and this interview is going for 16 grand a year. Which I assume at the time, I didn't do the maths on that one, but 16 grand a year, you're kind of like, in the year 2000, I was on 11 grand a year as an untrained customer service operative.
Right.
So 16 grand a year in 97 would have been pretty all right, I guess. Would have kept him. Would have kept him in skiing holidays, I assume.
And in garden gnomes.
Yeah, and this is the thing. So they fucking ruin this for Gerald Or at least we
garden
think
gnomes.
they do. With the garden gnomes, they're distracting him, whatever. And then they smash them through the window.
Yeah, or smash them into each other.
Yeah, that's really kind. Now, we've done gnomes before, John. We have done gnomes before. But there's one thing we haven't discussed when we're talking about gnomes.
When they went from when they went from clay to plastic.
No, but are you going to tell us about that?
Yes, I will. So,
go on then. Fine.
So, as we well know, they were first produced in the 19th century by a sculptor called Philip Gabriel, and they were made of clay, but eventually made from resin and plastic in the 1970s and 80s. So, from all that time, in the early 19th century, all that time it was clay, and then by the 70s and 80s, they became plastic. There you go. That's all I've got
Made
to say
from resin, or as it was known to me at the time, soap bar.
Soap bar.
Soap bar.
Or a bit of black.
Yes. God, for students still do. Yeah, interesting. British telly featuring gnomes, and this is going to jog your memory. Coronation Street in the 90s, John. Derek Wilton's prized gnome Arthur disappeared from his front garden, and he kept getting postcards. Do you remember that?
Oh, God, I have different locations.
Yeah, he later found out it was Norris that had stolen his gnome to get back at him for treating his first wife, Angela, so badly.
Oh, God. That was a storyline. Back when it was simpler times, man.
Oh, absolutely,
simpler
yeah. You didn't have to have a fucking...
A plane crashing into your pub every 2 days.
You didn't have to have a tram falling off the thing. That's not even a real place. That tram's not real. It's like a fucking cartoon tram. Stop doing cartoon trams. Oh, blue screen tram bastards. Back at the job club, he's threatening to kick him in.
He was going.
He can't tell his wife he lost his job. And the line is, "She's got a MasterCard," and it's kind of like, oh, that is just beyond sad. I mean, you can see from this, he is a good actor. He's got the gravitas, he's got the pathos. It just works.
Yeah. You can see the desperation, and you feel for him as well. Because at first it's all fun and games, but when he talks about how she's about with a MasterCard and how he really needed it, and this was his way out. You really felt for him. You really did.
He says it's only 6 months. He says, I can get the first month in advance, and I'll be back on. She wouldn't even know. Mm-hmm. And the difficult thing there for me is, you very much like me. You would tell Kirsty, wouldn't you?
Oh God, I
would tell Kirsty straight away.
Yeah, I couldn't.
No, you couldn't. You couldn't keep that.
Yeah.
Anyway, the next scene, he's sat eating his sandwiches on a bench, eating his bait on a bench. They apologise by giving him this cart, this thing, and they fixed his gnome.
They got it for a jumbo sale, didn't they?
Yeah, got it from a jumbo sale.
Jumbo sales?
Remember jumbo sales? Do you remember jumbo sales? Yeah.
I looked these up, and apparently jumbo sales, well, they are being replaced by cheaper alternatives like marketplaces, but some churches still hold them. I remember jumbo sales. Yeah, I remember jumbo sales were on at our school all the time just to raise money for the school.
Yeah, the church roof. It's always the church roof.
I remember it because my neighbour used to call it a jungle sale. I don't think you can say jumbo sale. Jungle sale. You want a jungle sale?
Is that where you go and get all your drum and bass CDs?
Oh.
Rocker to rocker, raver to raver, turn up the bass. Why don't you do us all a favour?
There's a lot of cheaters in the jungle sale.
But no drugs because the paracetamol.
Oh, Jesus. Let's do this.
It's basically a very touching apology, and he loves it, doesn't he? He loves the little cart that they've got him.
Yeah.
Gerald agrees to help them because he needs money.
Yeah.
Next scene, they're interviewing people, auditioning people. Did you see who the first one
was?
Oh,
it was Les Battersby for
Coronation Street. Bruce Jones, right? Now, did you know that he found one of the bodies of the Yorkshire Ripper's victims when working on an allotment?
No, I did not.
Yeah, there's a documentary on Netflix about the Yorkshire Ripper. It's not great, but I didn't know that he was one. He was questioned by police.
Right. Jesus,
that's not a very sexy thing.
No, certainly not.
But yeah, he then went on to he was just working as a labourer on an allotment, building a shed or building a greenhouse.
And they found him.
And he went to get some bricks and found it. And apparently the part of the video I saw was them saying you had a wheelbarrow, you had a hammer, and you had a chisel. Why? Well, I was breaking up bricks to build an aggregate base, and you kind of like, but they were asking him questions, and were you in Yorkshire on this day? He's like, it was a long time ago. I couldn't quite remember, and you start to doubt yourself. Was I in Yorkshire? You're like, fucking hell, you nearly got out. Les Battersby nearly didn't exist.
Wow,
as we know him, and I always liked Bruce Jones a little bit because he looks a little bit like my old man did.
Oh, really?
My old man was always a lot more handsome than Bruce Jones, but yeah, looks a little bit similar kind of hairline and cheeky smile as my old man. So there's something about Bruce Jones I'm always like, okay, I like him. Battersby were a bright bunch of bastards, though, weren't they? You'd be good
the family right bunch.
You.
He was always that sort of salt of the earth kind of guy, wasn't he? Yeah. He always came across as a common man, which I like.
He would do all right in Glasgow, wouldn't he?
Aye,
he'd have a stall down the Barras.
He'd get a piece of anybody's door.
Stocks just stolen from M&S. You know the stall. He's rubbish. He can't do it. Oh, I can't even take me kit off properly. This proper Manc accent that I can't do. And he says, oh, I'm going to have to go. I've got the kids. Oh, I just want to earn some money for the kids. Where are they? They're in the car outside. Oh, bring them in. You're kind of like, Jesus, don't bring the kids in. Do not bring those children in. And obviously he's not going to get part of it. This next character turns up his horse. Why is he called Mr. Horse? Not because he runs the fucking Grand National. He's got moves though, hasn't he?
Oh God, yeah.
Dancing to this Wilson Pickett number.
Yeah. No, he's got all the moves. He's brilliant. As soon as I seen him, the first thing that came into my head was Only Fools and Horses,
because that's what he's out of.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I remember him from.
Yeah. Was he also?
I think he's had his own show for a while.
Yeah, I know the character. He moans about his knees at one point, doesn't he? Says he's got a bad knee or a bad hip at some point. This next lad comes up singing in the Rain's my favourite film. Just imagine I'm Donald O'Connor, and I was like, what? Like, let make him laugh, and he runs at the wall and knocks himself out. Brilliant. By the way, that Donald O'Connor make him laugh is just something I could watch for hours on a loop. Where he's just running and jumping and doing. Oh, it's fucking brilliant.
There's something else in it.
How does that even work?
No CGI back in those days.
No, absolutely not. Your next man turns up. He says, you don't sing, you don't dance. What do you do? He drops his keks, and your man says, the lunchbox has landed.
That's right.
Now, do you remember
Gerald,
that reference? Oh, he recognises Gerald because he's done his bathroom. He's hiding behind the paper. Do you remember the term the lunchbox? Do you remember who that was?
Linford Christie.
Linford Christie.
Yeah.
He was never young, was he, Linford Christie?
Nah,
he always looked really old. Yeah.
No, because it was always him. It was him and Ben Johnson at one point. Were all the way. Those quite close, but it was Ben Johnson who get done for doping.
He did, yeah. That was Stoll, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He's got soul, but he's not a soldier. 92. I always remember being really excited as a 12-year-old. We were on holiday in Newquay in Cornwall, and that was my first real Olympics that I was properly excited for. Right. And my mum was furious because I just wanted to spend all day sat inside watching the Olympics. This was in Barcelona, so it was all on the right times. And I remember in the TV room, because that's when. Do you remember when hotels had TV rooms? And we were all gathered around the TV watching Linford Christie. I think did he win bronze?
Yeah, he was a gold. I know that.
Disappointing. So obviously he's hung.
Yep.
And that's kind of, they're after a mix of people who can dance and people who have got schlongs.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all we want, ladies. Am I right? Mark Addy's still going about the fact he's fat, and he's not.
Oh, he's in his bed with his wife, isn't he?
Yeah. Jeannie tries it on in bed, and the line is, how tiring it is doing nout.
It says,
and I'm just kind of like...
Oh, he says I'm all in, didn't he?
Yeah.
Says I'm all in. So I looked up that expression. So this is a bit of a weird expression because it's borrowed from an early 20th century um, extract, but it just means exhausted or used up, and it refers to people or animals who are on the verge of collapse.
All right. Okay. And he is. It's depression. There's no doubt about it.
Oh yeah,
What
yeah, yeah,
he is suffering from is what the city is suffering from. It's a depression.
yeah. Yeah, because in the film he just looks like a normal guy with a normal dad bod. So the fact that he's thinking about this so much is obviously means there's something else going on.
Absolutely. They're in this shop nicking a flash dance VHS, right? And there was a shot, and I thought initially it was Meadowhall, but it wasn't. They're in like an Asda. But we did see
Yeah,
Meadowhall, which made me think again, Four Lions, because you keep seeing
yeah. You see
Meadowhall in
these
the
things in the
distance.
background, didn't you?
Yeah.
I thought it was I initially thought it was Woolworths because it was pick and mix, wasn't there?
There was. It was meant to be an Asda. Yeah, and I don't
Right.
think you get. Maybe
I
you
didn't.
used to get pick and mix in Asda. I don't
Maybe
know.
I. But I looked up pick and mix. So
Yep.
it originated in the 1950s as a slogan to advertise sweets or candy.
Okay.
The first evidence they could find is in a print of an advert from F.W. Woolworths from the Cedar Rapids Gazette, the 13th of August, 1958.
Nice. Big fan of pick and mix, John?
I was a big fan of getting them for free,
Yeah.
if that's what you mean, from the local Prestos.
Prestos. Wow. Yeah.
But it wasn't really pick and mix, it just had stuff out that we could take.
Yeah. Hate it myself because kids are fucking disgusting and COVID.
Well, back then we didn't. I've seen kids bloody picking sweeties after ground and eating them in Pollock.
Yeah.
That's why everybody had great immune systems.
All right, Grandad.
Mine's rocking about with shoe boxes on their feet. Oh, happy times.
So they're watching this video, and they're doing everything in the in the old mill, aren't they? They're doing all the
Yeah,
kind of
so
the
they're
thing. They're
watching.
watching this video, and one of them says, "I hope she dances better than she welds."
Your mixes out of cock.
Makes his
Did you look up welding mixes?
I didn't know. Did you?
What? I sure did. So the mix is typically 86% argon and 14% CO2.
Oh,
That's what the
fantastic!
mix should be ideally, because if it's any lower, it could cause, or sorry, if it's that mix, then it causes less what's called spatter. Yeah,
Okay, we all want a bit less spatter. Am I right,
everybody
ladies?
loves a bit of less spatter.
Argon is that fantastic film about getting the blokes out of Iran, isn't it?
Oh,
Yeah.
you're going to
No,
say.
no.
I think we'll say the dragon one.
Yeah, Aragon, Jesus. There's a film no one's thought about in 15 years. You seen Flashdance, John?
I've seen it years and years ago. I just remember the bit where she's
That's a
gone
good film.
crazy dancing.
Yeah. Yeah, she's a maniac on the floor.
Jenny
And she's
Halliwell
dancing
probably
like
getting
she's
into.
never danced before. Well, I was actually thinking about groundskeeper Willie in the park.
Oh God!
I'm a maniac. Gerald says he can teach them the tango in 2 weeks. Even Dave, who's wearing a Sheffield Eagles shirt, by the way. So, I didn't mention Sheffield Eagles because Sheffield Eagles are Sheffield's rugby league team, right? Because Sheffield is not a rugby league city. But yeah, the Sheffield Eagles were a Super League team at the time. And I have a bit of a soft spot for them. Because I have always a soft spot for teams from places that aren't rugby. Considering they've got 4 bloody football teams at least
Yeah,
as a city,
yeah.
they should never have anybody watching rugby league. But I love rugby league. Dave wants to get a security job, but Gaz stops him, and I'm like, what a terrible friend you are. Not only are you a bad dad, but you're a terrible friend.
Yeah, it
Stopping
says
your mate from getting a job.
you want to be earning minimum wage.
Yeah.
I tried to look up minimum wage for 1997, but apparently the minimum wage legislation came in 1998.
That's right, yeah, and that's why he was able later on in the film to just get £2.50 an hour, wasn't he?
Aye, that's right.
£2.50 an hour she was willing to give him.
By the way, back in 1999, minimum wage was £3.60 an hour for adults and £23 for those aged 18 to 22.
Nice.
So you know.
Good work.
In case you ever want to go back in time.
They can't seem to get being in a line, and Horse said it's like the Arsenal offside trap, and they all get it, and you're like, oh, it's funny because dancing's for girls and football's
And
for
men know
boys.
football, yeah.
Fucking hell. They're at Gerald's, they're getting the kit off, and he says, I used to have a proper job, me. Don't you know fat is a feminist issue? Linda's friend had this thing, which was like cling film, which lost her weight.
Yep.
And he's like, yeah, whatever. The door goes, and it's these bailiffs. They come in to take the telly, and it takes two of them to pick up this massive CRT.
CRT, yeah, I noticed that.
And as a man that had to hump a CRTV up fucking 4 flights of a tenement in Greenock, I feel every fucking move, mate.
I had to lift one of those bad boys, Nikam stereo with picture-in-picture, and it was absolutely, it was a dream, but it was, weighed a ton.
That's how our backs are so bad.
Pretty much.
In our 40s. CRT TVs, man. I'm telling you.
God damn you, John Logie Beard.
They turn up, like they walk around the corner in their pants, and one of them goes, Mark Addy goes, put down and piss off. Which I really
and their
like.
pants.
Yeah. The next scene, they're dancing badly to the stripper, and all I could think was that scene out of Morecambe and Wise, you know, where they're doing the breakfasts. To the stripper.
Oh, God,
squeezing the grapefruit and doing the toast and the thing. Yeah, again, who's that?
Mama.
Oh, the grapefruit mouths. And I'd kind of forgotten about the grapefruit mouths. Yeah, very good.
Oh, just so you know, that cling film theory, apparently there's no evidence to support that would actually work.
All right, okay, yeah. It's a shame because I was just about to go and grab a Mars bar and do it myself.
It says, well, you may lose a few pounds. It was mainly just due to water loss. So,
beer loss, maybe, for me. Mate, I'm a giant sexy dynamo. I don't care. I don't want to look like a weirdo. I'll just wear the moo-moo.
Mate, you, as I say, you are about to share.
Nathan's mum's work. She works at this. She's like the manager at this hosiery firm, isn't she? Yeah, kind of thing. And he agrees to work for her, and it's for £2.50 an hour. He says he'll do it because he needs to pay £100 to get the money down for the show.
Yes. Yeah.
So the guy says £100. Okay, fine. Nathan gives him his £100 savings. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. It's only going to take you 2 weeks to earn this money, right?
Yeah.
In the first week, give the guy £50 as a deposit, whatever. Do not take your child's savings.
I know.
Man, I don't care how desperate you are. Don't take a child's savings. Yeah. Go and be a clown like your man out of Brastoff. Go and do being a clown. Do that instead. There's these brilliant views over Sheffield. There's this working out montage. They're running. They're doing all sorts of things. And I was kind of like, Sheffield's gorgeous. It's a shame it's about to be blown up in threads. They're putting up posters for hot metal.
Oh, naming it hot metal.
I just remember thinking of The Simpsons. Hot stuff coming through. Oh, be nice. These women come across. They said, "Oh, we've already seen them. We saw them last week, the Chippendales." And he says, "Oh no, we're better because we go the full Monty." And obviously, I went, "Hey!"
So you did, yeah.
Of course, I did.
So at that point, I looked up Chippendale tickets.
Right. Okay.
So there's nothing here. So there's ones over in America. So the cheapest ones in the balcony are $95, but the front row seats are $168.
Oh, danger. You may get wet.
Yeah.
I found something a little bit more grim when it came to the Chippendales. They were formed in 1979 in LA by Suman Banerjee, who bought a bar in West LA and named it the Chippendales Bar. Similar nightclubs soon followed. Banerjee was worried about the competition and attempted to burn down at least 3 of them.
What?
In 1987, Banerjee hired a hitman to murder his business partner, Nick DeNoyer. He also plotted to have 2 other former associates killed. He was arrested in 1993 and hanged himself in a cell later that year.
God, that's grim.
That is really fucking grim.
Proper
And
grim.
all you're doing is looking at men's fucking lunchboxes.
I know.
I'm just saying.
I've got tickets. I've got tickets now.
One of us does the hard yards on this podcast.
The algorithm's mucked up. I'm looking at the Dream Boys right now.
Literally, mate, the hard yards.
The hard yards.
Shiwis and hitmen. The hard yards.
It's all coming up my house.
They don't agree. They don't want to go the full Monty. But he says, people don't laugh so loud when you've got $1,000 in your back pocket. How long's that going to last? You know, that's not a huge amount of money. But, you know. In the Job Club line, the Hot Stuff song comes on, and they're kind of dancing to it, aren't they? And it's cute. And that reminded me of thinking, I saw Tom earlier on in the week in the Northeast while he was on holiday over there. And he said, I seem to remember, and I might have imagined this, there was a thing with Prince Charles doing it in a queue. And there really was on the news. Yeah. He's a game old boy, isn't he, Prince Charles? Say what you want, you know. I know he had his wife murdered and everything, but, you know. Other than that, he's a game old boy. He's the prince of a country that doesn't want him. They turn up at Gerald's for the sunbed. They're looking. Someone's reading Cosmo. I hope they aren't all like that with us. He's too fat. He's old, and he's a pigeon-chested tosser. Which I kind of like for young ginger boy.
Oh, is that Lomper?
Lomper, yeah. They hand out these leather pants. It's brilliant. It's Monday. Dress rehearsal on Tuesday for Friday.
Yep.
Horse has this pump.
Oh, man, I had to look this up as well.
Oh, did you? Tell me.
He had the cock pump. Right, so this the guy that invented it should have changed the name, right? So the cock pump was invented back in 1874 by a doctor called John King. Should have been called Joe King because apparently it's a myth.
Right, okay. Not Don King.
No, Joe King.
This is an egregious...
Apparently it's a myth that they don't increase your penis size at all.
No, it involves placing a tube over the penis and then pumping out the air to create a vacuum. The vacuum draws blood into the penis and allegedly makes it swell. Vacuum devices are sometimes used in short-term treatment of impotence, but overusing a penis pump can damage the tissue of the penis, leading to weaker erections, which I, of course, would know nothing about.
Weekly erections, big man, weekly.
Yeah. The NHS, however, recommend the following. Trim your pubic hair. A big mound of pubic hair can make your penis look smaller than it is. Lose weight, you fat biffer. A beer belly hanging over your penis can make your penis look smaller. And get fit. Getting into shape will not only make you feel more attractive, it could also improve your sex life. Yeah, whatever.
I find that when you're younger, drinking heavily increases your sex drive and helps you.
It did make me think of Swedish-made penis enlarger, Basil. Dave and his wife are at it in bed, but he can't do it. Gaz is practicing on his own with Nathan there, but Nathan says he's ahead on his timing. Kid's got rhythm. Dave's eating this Mars bar and wrapping himself in cling film, which is one of these things. I found the GIF. I will be sharing it a lot on Twitter. Although I won't be, because the only GIF I share on Twitter these days is GIFs of Brian Cox. It's only counts on Brian Cox. The next day, Gerald and Dave are talking. When Gerald was a kid, he went for mixed swimming lessons, and he got, I've written here, a stoner.
A stoner, aye.
A stoner, a hard-on. He says, I jumped in the deep end and nearly drowned. What if it happens again? And I thought, if you're stood around 12-year-olds and you get an erection, you should go the way of Gary Glitter, mate.
Aye, yeah.
It fucking happen.
You should have been well banned for driving.
Jesus. Yes. Stick shift especially.
I was going to say diving there, but I thought it was too much. Can I say that?
That would have worked. No, I'd have been there for it. They're practicing, and Horse has got his mum and his family to see. These old girls knitting, and this young niece or whatever turns up.
Eyed up Gerald.
Yeah. Dave's not there. He's working. Dave's not here, man. He's working security at Asda. Gaz thieves a coat to get him sacked.
Aye.
And they're talking about things not to think about to get a hard on, and they're laughing. Nature programs, the Queen's speech, gardening. For me, it's Margaret Thatcher. It's always Margaret Thatcher.
That does it every time. Every time.
I'm sure for the lads in Sheffield, it would be Thatcher as well.
Yeah.
So Gaz gets back, and Dave isn't coming. Obviously, he's got a proper job, so he's not coming. Mm-hmm. They strip out of these officers' outfits. More Gary Glitter, by the way.
I know.
Like, wow, only a few years later. Gary Glitter, Paul Francis Gadd, convicted of child pornography and now thankfully rotting in jail. This copper hears the music, doesn't he? How loud's this stereo they've got, by the way?
I know.
Like, he's miles away.
Yeah.
And he kind of comes in and finds them, and they're basically arrested. And this police officer says to Nathan, "Does your daddy always strip in front of you?" I'm like, Jesus Christ.
It's a bit harsh, isn't it?
Lamps and the other one, the boy with the hung boy, I can't remember what he was called. Or Lumps and the hung boy, they've got away, they run away. And they're nicking clothes off this washing line, whilst the cops are playing the footage and having a laugh in the thing. And Gerald turns to him and says, "You're always ahead, you."
That's what it is. And the cop's like, yeah.
Yeah, you are ahead.
That was pretty good.
Lobs and the other character climb through the window and they're giggling about it and they kiss, but we don't see them kiss because it's a film and it's 1997.
Man, I'm honest. I'll be honest. I thought we actually seen a kiss because I always associate that with something.
Yeah, I think you're thinking about EastEnders.
No.
First gay kiss on TV between Colin and Guido, 24th of January 1998. You remember Colin? I think he might have been Welsh.
Nah, I don't. I was watching it at that point. I think I was too busy.
I remember that one. But yeah, no kiss in this film, which is really disappointing. Really disappointing. But it's all right. We're there now. We're absolutely there now. Gerald gets home to these lads basically taking all their belongings. She says, "I can cope with losing everything, but it's the shame, the 6 months of you lying to me." Mm-hmm. Gerald's kicked out, has to stay with Gaz. And it turns out he's been offered the job. Hey, fantastic.
Yeah. Hey.
They're at school, having dropped off, picking up Nathan, and Mum and her fella say he can't see him because he's a bad dad. And they're not wrong, actually. Yeah. At Asda, Gaz goes to see Dave and asks him to get a jacket because it turns out Lomps' mum's died. Mm-hmm. And it's her funeral. He gets him. He lets him nick one, and then he comes back with another one, and they both quit. He just quits his job because
just runs it, doesn't he?
Yeah,
he's got a jacket and runs it.
They're at the funeral. Lumps is playing Abide With Me, and I sobbed my heart out because I always cry at Abide With Me.
Oh dear. Right.
Yeah, Christian hymn by Scottish Anglican Henry Francis Lyle. It's a prayer for God to stay with the speaker throughout life and death. It was written by Lyle in 1847 as he was dying from tuberculosis. It's often sung to the tune Eventide by the English organist William Henry Monk. And it is the reason I don't go to the Challenge Cup final, the Rugby League Challenge Cup final anymore, because I always end up crying, and I have always been pointed at and laughed, crying at Abide With Me.
Oh, man, that's a shame.
Usually by fucking Leeds fans. So they can fuck off.
Oh, son.
He's playing it on his bugle, by the way. Did you spot? He's a bugle player. Is his thing.
His weapon of choice.
Bugle has no valves or other pitch-altering devices. All pitch is changed by varying the lips and the tongue, and I've changed plenty of pitch with my lips and tongue in the past, John. I don't know about you.
Nice.
Hi-oh.
and a few valves.
Oh, Jesus, man! Dave says to Gaz about the pair of them, because obviously they're hugging,
hands.
Holding hands, and the land is there's now as queer as folk, which isn't funny. It's not now, is it?
But it is a colloquialism from Yorkshire, isn't it?
Oh, it is. Yeah,
I think so.
absolutely.
Aye. So the meaning is, well, I think in that context, yeah, but I think it just means something like the now to strangest people.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
But I think
100%.
because of obviously the queer in it, but I don't know if it was necessarily meant as that when it was obviously coined as a phrase. But hey,
So everyone's onto them locally, and it's in the Sheffield Star, which I was kind of like, oh, that's a local. There's a local paper I recognise. Founded in 1887, the total average issue readership for the Star, as of 2 years ago, was 105,498 people. It's probably
right,
a lot less now. I would have thought. They're at band practice. Lops' band are playing the Stripper, which I kind of liked. Which I was
yeah,
kind of like they obviously, because everybody locally knows
knows what's
what they're
going on.
doing. The Stripper, of course, is an instrumental composed by David Rose, recorded in 1958 and released 4 years later. It's jazz influence with especially prominent trombone slides. Wow, wow, wow. And it evokes the feel of music used to accompany striptease artists, allegedly. Not that I would know anything about that.
Hell no.
No.
You just stripped to Benny Hill, didn't you? The quicker the better.
Very quickly, in double time. He gets annoyed with them and tells them to shag off, which I like as a
We
line.
get shagged.
Shag off. Gerald's leaving the job club for his job. But Gaz explains they've sold 200 tickets already.
Yeah.
But, I mean, let the man have his job. 16 grand a year. Jean's leaving Dave because she's found his leather pants and she thinks it's a carry-on.
Oh God, yeah.
He says, it's now to do with any flipping women. He explains that they're strippers. I couldn't, could I? Look at me. Who wants to see this dance? And she says, me, Dave. I do.
Oh,
Aww.
right to the feels, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Right to
It's
the
Friday
feels.
night. The club is packed and it's men and women. Dave turns up and he fills his suit better than any of the other lads, doesn't he? Mark
Oh no,
Addy
it looks
looks
great.
fantastic.
Yeah, no, it looks fantastic. If
But
anything,
Gaz,
Robert Carlyle looks as if his is falling off him.
well, Robert Carlyle, his character Gaz, takes an absolute fucking monumental strop because he won't do it in front of other men.
Yeah,
And you're kind of like, just grow up, son.
I know.
Grow up, for fuck's sake.
No, totally.
They head off out, and Mark Addy says, "We might not be young, pretty, or reek good, but for one night only, it's the full Monty."
Bill Monty. Yeah.
They strip to Tom Jones's "You Can Leave Your Hat On."
Aye.
He asked for me, John. Elvis, he asked for me. Written by Randy Newman. You can leave your hat on. Red-headed lady. On his 1972 album, Sail Away. Tom Jones covered it for this particular soundtrack, and it's included on the play of the same name. It's in a medley with Hot Chocolate's You Sexy Thing, Donna Summer's Hot Stuff, and this one reached number 62 in the UK singles chart in 1998 under the title The Full Monty Monster Mix.
Right.
Because apparently we were still doing Jive Bunny stuff at the time. Apparently. Fucking no. Nathan gives Gaz a pep talk. Good lad. And I think this bit's semi-well choreographed, pardon the pun. The band are here. The Police are there as well. And there's not a hairy arse to be seen between them, which means it certainly isn't me and you.
No, and they all got waxed. You know that for a fact.
Of course they did. This freeze frame on their arses as they throw their hats away.
Aye, yeah.
And that's it. And that's the film.
Oh, God.
And I had a great time, John. As I said, I remembered not loving it, but now I'm a bit softer and a bit less. I had a great time.
You can see past just train spotting days.
Yeah, and it's got a lot of Yorkshire in it, and you know it's a great county. Yeah. It's a fantastic county. Anything more to add before I go through all the crud I've still got left?
The only thing I've got left was there was a bit in the police station where they were saying it about being naked robbers, but apparently, so I was looking up if there's actually been any naked robbers. There was one. So there was a naked robber who stripped for a heist, but he was caught getting dressed in a nearby toilet in August 2014 at the Associate Bank in Rockford, Illinois.
Oh, wow.
So why would you? Well, I personally think you would do it just to make people feel awkward when you're robbing them. But hey, whatever works, whatever
From
works.
paedophiles to Rockford files.
Oh,
They mentioned that Nathan isn't going to get in trouble with the police if he takes responsibility for the girder at the start. He says you're under 16, you can't get a criminal record. The age of criminal responsibility in England and Wales is 10 years old, which means children under 10 cannot be arrested or charged with a crime. Children between 10 and 17 can be arrested and taken to court if they commit a crime. Because we live in a fucking police state. ACAB, just going to put it out there. £10,000. It's mentioned that they're going to get £10,000. Today is £19,365.85p, which is not too shabby. I think Tom Wilkinson's character Gerald calls them little and large. 80s comedy duo Eddie Large died of COVID in 2020, RIP.
Mhm.
Sid Little allegedly runs the Steamer pub and restaurant in Fleetwood near Blackpool.
What?
I found this out too late. Tom didn't have enough time to go and have a look for us. He was going to go and have a look, but he didn't have enough time. The character Mandy, Emily Woof, it's her first film. They're smoking silk cut silver at one point. Silk cut purple. They're smoking. Silk cut silver was the lightest fags in tar cigarettes and nicotine, and purple the strongest. 20 of these at Tesco. £14.45, John.
Jesus Christ.
Now, I've never smoked, but they're dear now, eh?
Yeah, they're really dear. I remember when we were slumming it, we used to smoke the silk cut, but they had perforations between the tobacco and the beef.
Yeah.
So all you would do is just snap the beef off. The beef
That's
is
right,
the
yeah.
filter in Scotland,
Yeah.
but we would just snap the beef off and smoke it like a roll-up.
Or you would, I mean, I say I never smoked. I've smoked a few cigarettes, and I used to smoke. If anyone wanted to film somebody smoking at college, and it wasn't a smoker, it was always me, because I could just pick them up and put them down. That's what I did.
Marlboro Light.
It's like smoking like smoking nothing. Tinsley cooling tower, you see those two cooling towers in the distance. Now, I used to pass these by all the time when I was travelling on the National Express bus from Bradford to Nottingham to go home, and they were demolished the 24th of August 2008. Fear of heights, there's a mention of jumping, but a fear of heights is acrophobia. There's a 1986 Ford Fiesta. Don't know whose car it was. It might have been Gerald's car. Ford Fiesta Mark II was the second generation of the Ford Fiesta Super Mini built by Ford Europe. Originally introduced in 1983, it was a mild facelift of the original. It was available as a 3-door hatchback and panel van styles, replaced by the Fiesta Mark III in 1980. Volkswagen Transporter we already know about. Yeah. I found one online for £16,000. Don't go any more into that. The school that Nate attended is now the Sheffield Boxing Centre. Dire Straits double album. Someone says this will be about as depressing as a Dire Straits double album. The Dire Straits double album is Alchemy Live at Hammersmith, 1984. The CD is 93 minutes 59 seconds, but the LP was 88 minutes 50 seconds. The inside scenes of Milnthorpe Working Men's Club were filmed in Shire Green Working Men's Club. The external scenes were the Regency House Furniture Warehouse. And finally, somebody nearly gets Alan Bradley'd by a tram. Sheffield used to have an extensive tram network, the Sheffield Tramway, between 1873 and 1960, closed in October 1960. The Sheffield Super Tram opened in 1994. There you go.
Who's Alan Bradley?
Alan Bradley? Oh, there's one for the kids. That's another Coronation Street reference.
He's trying to kill what's her face?
He tried to kill Rita and he got twatted by a tram. Trams go about 10 miles an hour in Blackpool.
I know. And you can see that going a mile away.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like Speed 3, isn't it?
I wish I'd asked Tom to tell us the last person murdered by a tram in Blackpool. It must have just been Alan Bradley. I don't think it was anybody.
He was the last.
Right, while I'm totting them up, do you want to do some guesses?
Oh, God. I think we've definitely go over 100 because I think we both went a bit cray-cray. So I'm thinking 103.
Up.
113.
Up.
132.
Oh, fuck off, 120. 1-2-0.
Yeah, I'm happy with that, man.
I'm happy with that as well, mate. Yeah, fantastic.
That was a good episode. Even though we
Listeners,
do see ourselves.
yeah, well, look, no one's listening. Listeners, of course, you know where to get us on the Twitters, on the Instagrams, the Facebooks, and all the places. Go and tell your friends that you are listening to two stupid blokes talk fucking nonsense and laugh at ourselves, really, because we love doing this, and the more people that listen to us, the more chance we've got of probably making somebody that's fed up laugh. There's some really serious moments in this film and some real pathos. Yeah, I love it. I had a great time with it. Right, okay, where else can you find me at the moment? You will find me, well, you'll always find me on Everything We Learned from The Simpsons. It's about the 20th time I've mentioned it, where me and Tom figure out all that shite, English shite that relates to all the American stuff in The Simpsons. I'm guesting all over. I'm on Cult Connections. I'm on That Efkin Show. I'm on Hallmark of Greatness talking about giant octopuses. Octopussies. John, where can the lovely people get you other than this podcast?
Well, I shall be on Divided by a Colon Language. I'll be on
language.
I'll be on Divided by a Common Language with the Belson boys and the Wilsons. Oh, it's a great laugh. It's the third episode is out now, and you can get it on wherever you get your podcast. But it's hilarious. I've listened to it today, and I was in stitches, absolute stitches.
I mean, if you do say so yourself.
No, it's very rare that I laugh at myself, but yeah, I was on form.
All right. No, our listeners laugh at you all the time because you are the funny one.
All the wrong reasons. But yeah, I'll be on there with the guys, so catch us on there.
Grand. Yeah, so thanks, John. I've had a great time tonight. Hopefully the listeners have enjoyed what they have heard as well. You'll get us all over the fucking shop, it seems. But for now, we have been 120 things we've learned from the full Monty, you bastard. See ya.
See you guys.